Let me start with the giant size X-Men 1. The colors are great. There are a few imperfections, a couple of creases.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a 7.5, so that would put it at around $550, $600.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Well, I have a couple of these Ohio State pennants that are awarded to the players when they beat Michigan.
Why do they look like pants?
Well, when they started the award, Ohio State had a long losing streak against Michigan. So the coach came in and said, these guys put their pants on one leg at a time like we do.
Okay, we jump right in with a Seinfeld script. The seller says it's a cast-signed finale script, only given to friends of the show. He wants $5 grand for it. The energy is high, but Rick is already skeptical. You can tell he's thinking about authenticity and how many might exist. This is classic Pawn Stars. Immediate excitement followed by immediate doubt. Let's see where this goes.
Chair.
One of the most famous chairs you'll ever see. Abraham Lincoln sat on it.
I have the Seinfeld signed cast script. This was only given out to friends of the show.
What do you want for it?
$5,000.
Dollars? What we got here?
Seinfeld, last episode, signed cast script.
Okay.
The seller just called the Seinfeld finale the worst episode of the show. That's a bold take, but Rick counters saying it was the highest-rated sitcom ever. They're bonding over favorite moments like the funky car episode. This banter is great, but it's just the calm before the appraisal storm. The seller is sticking to his $5,000 price. Rick's face says it all. He's gonna call an expert.
The worst episode of the show, but the finale.
You know what? In the end, does it really matter if anyone liked it? Because it was the highest rated sitcom ever in the history of television. It's like 70 million people or something like that watched it.
Yep.
Everyone's got a favorite Seinfeld episode. Remember when the valet parked the car and the car got the funk in it and they couldn't get the funk out of the car?
Cut to a totally different item. Fire buckets from the 1700s. This guy needs money for his daughter's medical school. He wants $5,000. Rick loves historical stuff, especially firefighting. He explains how every townsperson was in the brigade back then. The buckets are in amazing shape. You can see Rick's wheels turning. He knows this is a cool, rare find, but will he meet the asking price?
Good. Fire buckets?
Fire buckets. These are like late 1700s to, I've been collecting. They all came out of Maine.
Okay.
These are some of my favorite ones, but I've got a kid in college, and I'm gonna have to let some of the collection go.
Yeah, I got a daughter who wants to go to medical school.
Negotiation time. Rick points out one bucket he's not fond of but offers $3,500 for the group. The seller counters at $4 grand. Rick comes up to $3,800, calling it more than fair. And they have a deal. The seller is happy even if he hoped for more. That was a smooth, classic Pawn Stars deal. No drama, just two people finding a middle ground. Good business.
I'm just telling you that right now. This thing you can still use today. These are the ones that are cool because these are the ones they stopped using. They're leather, they rotted. Just a million different things happened to them, so they're not around a lot. Can I give you $3,500 for them? Really thinking that when I sell them, I'm gonna get...
Back to the Seinfeld script. Expert Steve is here to check the signatures. He compares each one, Jerry, Jason, Julia, Michael, to his known examples. His verdict? Everything matches perfect. No doubt about it. The signatures are real. That's huge. The seller must be feeling confident now. But in this show, real doesn't always mean ultra valuable. The big question is about to be answered.
Rick, tell me about your concerns.
I just want to make sure it's real and want to find out how much it's worth.
Sure. Can I spin this thing around here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Seems like a nice display. Jerry Seinfeld. His signature is typically pretty nice, every letter, especially from this era. Very similar signature. Every single letter of his name spelled out. I see the same thing here.
And there's the gut punch. Steve says because he's seen a fair number of these scripts, the value is only about $1,000. The seller's face drops. He immediately says, no, absolutely not. Rick jokes he'll get Steve out before he gets hit. This is the classic expert appraisal shock moment we watch for. The seller's $5,000 dream just collided with harsh market reality.
Okay, so what did these things go for? Was there a lot of these?
Yeah, with that said, I've seen a fair number of them through the years. Because you have a frame display here, which really looks nice. I mean, this is a great looking piece. So based on all that stuff.
Rick makes his offer based on the expert, $700. The seller is offended, saying his lowest is $3,000. Rick says they're so far out of the ballpark. The deal is dead. The seller leaves, convinced his item is worth far more. He says you can't even find one unframed for $700. That's the pawn shop dilemma. Sentimental value and market value are often worlds apart. No script for Rick today.
All right, so I'm gonna go off by his price. You know, I'd give you 700, I think it'll sell quick, but I mean, that's the most I'm gonna go.
Yeah, no, I've got, one, too much attachment to it, and two, best I would do would be 3,000. I can't go any lower than that.
We are so far out of the ballpark.
New scene. A guy has a vintage Donkey Kong arcade game in his horror-themed room. He says it doesn't fit with the killer clowns and dead pig carcass. That's hilarious. Rick gives a quick history lesson. This game introduced Jumpman, who became Mario. The seller wants $2,500. Rick isn't sure about the market for single arcade games and decides to call his own expert, Nick.
Definitely a little odd. So where'd you end up getting it?
My company's partners with Circus. We lease out their theme park. I was begging and pleading with them one day, and they finally agreed to sell me a couple games, and this was one of the games they sold me.
Oh, wow. I mean, just the history of the game itself. Before his name was Super Mario, before he was a plumber, his name was Jumpman, and that was his pet gorilla.
Expert Nick confirms the cabinet is an original, not a bootleg. That's good news. But then he drops the value bomb. Because they made so many, an original in this condition is only worth $600 to $800 retail. The seller wanted $2,500. Ouch. Nick says the market is for multi-game cabinets now. This is another lesson in rarity versus nostalgia. The seller is not going to be happy.
Yeah, I took a lot of my lunch money back in high school.
Good old Donkey Kong.
Yeah, this was the game that gave Namco a run for its money, because Namco was the king in America with Pac-Man. And then when Shigeru Miyamoto came out with this, Nintendo basically conquered America, selling just as many of these as they did as Pac-Man.
Rick, knowing retail is $800, offers $300. The seller instantly says no. Rick asks if $400 would change his mind. The seller says it's too cool a piece to sell for that low. The deal is dead. The seller keeps his game. Rick is understanding. Sometimes the item just means more to the owner than any pawn price. The fun is in the hunt and the history lesson anyway.
For me, because you wanted $2,500. On a good day, retail is going to be $800. I mean, I can offer you $300 for it.
No, I wouldn't.
I've got to double my money. If I went up to $4, would it change your mind at all?
No, it's too cool a piece to sell for $4. I wouldn't.
Whoa! A new customer claims to have a chair Abraham Lincoln sat on in the White House. He's asking $2,000 and has paperwork. Rick is instantly intrigued but cautious. Lincoln memorabilia is huge. Rick explains how furniture was a major status symbol back then. This could be a massive find, but it all hinges on rock-solid proof. You can feel the too good to be true tension already.
It's a chair, one of the most famous chairs you'll ever see.
Oh, really?
Abraham Lincoln sat on it. Why he was in the White House.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he sat in a lot of chairs. That is really neat. This was in the White House?
Enter Mark, the historian expert. He compares the chair to a famous photo. The decorative elements don't match. It's not the chair in the picture. He also found no photographic proof this specific chair was in the White House. The time period is right, but the direct link to Lincoln isn't there. The evidence is circumstantial. You can see the dream deflating. This is forensic history in action.
There are high points in every chair's life, I guess. When you're dealing with presidents of the United States, nobody has a bigger name than Abraham Lincoln. Anything related to Abraham Lincoln is hugely popular. This was the man that brought the country back together.
Rick explains his business philosophy. He must sell items beyond a reasonable doubt. With the proof being inconclusive, he can't make an offer. The seller is disappointed, believing he brought enough evidence. But Rick has to protect his reputation. No deal. It's a sobering end. Provenance is everything with historical items. Without that ironclad link, even a potentially real artifact becomes just a nice old chair.
If I buy something off a customer, I got to resell it. When I resell it, it's got to be beyond a reasonable doubt. What I'm selling is what I'm selling. It's just the way I do business. But at this point, I can't make you an offer. So thanks for coming in, but I just can't do it.
Thanks for looking at it.
No problem.
The episode opens with a Julius Caesar coin from the month before his assassination. The seller wants $4,400 and says he won't take a lowball offer. Rick is immediately fascinated, explaining the Roman meaning of dictator. You can see his history nerd passion firing up, but he's smart. He knows ancient coins are tricky. He's already planning to call an expert. This is a strong historical start to the drama.
How can I help you?
Well, I have a coin here. It's a portrait coin of Julius Caesar from the month before he got assassinated.
Okay.
This coin is really interesting.
Yeah, this is cool. Yes, I think I was actually Caesar in a different lifetime.
Now we get plaster casts of Joe DiMaggio's feet. I'm not kidding. The seller says his uncle was DiMaggio's foot doctor, and these custom inserts saved his career. He wants $10,000. Corey is completely baffled, calling it kind of weird. It's such a bizarre, personal piece of sports memorabilia. How do you even put a price on that? The absurdity level is already peak Pawn Stars.
So, Joe DiMaggio's feet, huh?
Joe DiMaggio's feet.
That's a bad case of athlete's foot.
Historical significance.
Tell me the story behind it here, because it's kind of weird that you have his feet.
My uncle.
Expert Jeremy arrives for the feet. He calls it the wildest thing he's ever seen here. He confirms DiMaggio's legendary status and how his foot problems led to his retirement. This context is crucial. It turns weird plaster into a piece of baseball tragedy. Jeremy is clearly impressed by the uniqueness and the personal, your pal, Joe DiMaggio signature. You can feel the valuation coming, but it's a total mystery.
Years you guys have been calling me in, I've seen some extraordinary things, but this is by far the wildest. It's not every day you can see plaster molds of arguably the best player during his generation. He just made such a big impact with the club. Maybe next to Willie Mays, he's the best center fielder in the history of baseball. Joe DiMaggio is one of those few names that has really transcended generations, along with Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth.
Here's the appraisal. Jeremy says as a one-of-a-kind item with a great autograph, the value is around $3,000 to $5,000. The seller wanted 10 grand. That's a massive gap. The expert explains the problem. It's a plaster mold, something collectors don't typically seek. It's historically cool but commercially niche. Corey now has the tough job of turning that into a pawn shop offer. The seller is not going to be happy.
Well, we're dealing here with two elements. I mean, first of all, we have plaster molds of arguably one of the best center fielders in the history of baseball. And then the second element we have is the actual autograph. It's actually personalized to your uncle. So, I mean, these are...
Corey explains the expert's valuation and asks if the seller is still interested. The seller flatly says, not at that price. Corey decides he can't make an offer, calling it speculation. The deal is dead. The seller is disappointed his valuation wasn't met. It's a classic case of an item being priceless to the owner but having a very limited market. Sometimes the shop just can't take the risk.
Not at that price.
No matter what I pay for this, it's speculation. I'm guessing that I'm going to be able to make money on it one day, but I really don't have any idea. So, I mean, for me to make you an offer at this point is just kind of ludicrous.
Back to the Caesar coin. Expert Dave confirms it's perfectly genuine, struck within 30 days of the murder. He says the portrait on the coin might have contributed to his assassination. That's an incredible piece of context. The history here is palpable. The coin is real, which is the first hurdle. Now for the value. The seller is probably hoping his $4,400 ask is close. This tension is brilliant.
Few names in history ring with the familiarity of Julius Caesar. You know, there's Napoleon, you know, a few other people you can throw in. His murder inspired Shakespeare. A particular coin was struck within 30 days prior to Julius Caesar's murder. Many historians believe
the valuation shock. Dave says the best examples can hit $200,000, but due to wear, this one is worth about $1,500 retail. The seller is visibly upset, calling that ridiculous given the history. Dave stands by auction prices. This is the brutal reality of collectibles. Condition and market demand trump historical significance every time. Rick now has to make an offer based on this harsh number. The seller is reeling.
When you get a coin like this, there's no shortage of buyers. When they are in fantastic condition, the very best of these have brought in the neighborhood of $200,000 each.
Okay.
But there's a good amount of wear. It's circulated, and I think this is worth in a neighborhood of...
Rick offers $1,000. The seller counters at $4,000, then says his final offer is $3,500 cash. Rick says there's no money to be made at that price and declines. The seller says Rick lost and leaves, calling the $1,000 offer absolutely ridiculous. He'll sell elsewhere. This is a principled standoff. The seller believes in the item's intrinsic value, while Rick must follow the resale market. No deal.
He's been in the coin business his entire life, and I'm gonna take his opinion. You know, I'd give you $1,000 for the coin.
Is this a real offer, or?
That's a legitimate offer.
New item, a leather jacket with an East-West musical instruments tag. Corey is curious and calls expert Jesse. Jesse reveals this company made leather gear for top rock stars like Elvis and Springsteen. This jacket was a $1,500 status symbol in its day. The seller just wanted $500. This is a classic thrift store gold mine scenario. The seller has no idea what she's sitting on. This is about to get good.
Dude, it's kind of cool. They're actually kind of famous, you know, for making leather stuff for rock stars back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. These jackets were made for like the top rung rock star, you know. It was a $1,500, $1,600 jacket.
Jesse appraises the vintage jacket at $2,000 to $3,000. Corey's gamble to call an expert paid off massively. He turns to the seller and asks if she still wants $500. She smartly says, no. The power dynamic just completely flipped. She now knows she's holding a small fortune in fringe leather. Corey is going to have to negotiate up, not down. This is a fantastic twist.
You know, stuff like this, because it's so rare and it's hard to find a 46-year-old, 50-year-old piece of leather that's in any kind of condition to actually wear. Anywhere from probably $2,000 to $3,000, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day.
The negotiation. Corey offers $1,500. The seller jokes she'd rather keep it and pretend to be a rock star. Corey goes up to $2,000, calling it the most he's ever paid for a jacket. She accepts. She's thrilled, getting 4 times her original hope. This is a win-win deal fueled by expert knowledge. It's the perfect counterpoint to the failed coin and feet deals. Sometimes the stars align.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather keep it and like pretend to be a rock star. Will you do any more, maybe?
Finally, a scarlet fever quarantine sign. The seller wants $100. Rick gives a dark history lesson on the deadly disease and these public notices. He loves the morbid history, but notes there's no strong collector's market. He says it's worth maybe $20 to someone who thinks it's neat and offers $10. This is the small, quirky deal that rounds out the episode. It's all about niche history.
Notice this house contains a case of scarlet fever. I love that they put it in red. Right. Any person removing this card without authority is liable to a fine from $10 to $100. This was more or less a quarantine notice. To a degree.
They haggle. The seller asks for $50. Rick sticks at $10. The seller negotiates to $12, saying, "Give me a little bit more than the fine," listed on the sign. Rick agrees to $12. The seller is happy, reasoning $12 is better than nothing and better than having a scarlet fever sign in your house. It's a funny, low-stakes deal that ends the episode on a lighter, charming note.
I'll give you $10 for it.
Well, how about 12? That'd give me a little bit more than the fine.
All right, $12, you have a deal.
Thank you, sir.
Now come on over here, I'll write you up.
I'm selling on $12 for the simple fact $12 is better than nothing.
A customer brings in a 1920s countertop cigar lighter. He's restored it with period-correct batteries, and it actually works, creating a spark to light your cigar. Rick calls it a Little Danger Ranger. The seller wants $1,500. This thing is a combination of vintage tech and pure fire hazard. You can see Rick is intrigued but cautious, which is always smart when dealing with antique explosives. Let's see if he bites.
Hey there.
What do we have here?
This is an antique cigar store countertop cigar light.
Do you know what year it is?
About 1920, 1930, right in there.
Okay.
What happens is you've got this little wire at the end that jumps a spark.
Negotiation time. The seller asks for $1,500. Rick points out it's in great shape, but offers $900. The seller counters at $1,300. Rick comes up to $1,000 flat, saying he won't go higher. The seller accepts. Rick buys a potentially dangerous conversation piece. He admits the thing scares him a little. It's a smooth, fast deal showing Rick's confidence in selling weird novelties to Vegas cigar fans. A solid start.
Go for it.
I'm asking $1,500.
Whoa. I will give you this, it's in really good shape. You did some restoration work to it?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't want to take away the character of what it was used for, so I left in cigar.
Now we have an Aaron Burr check. The seller is a history buff and wants $2,010, a Hamilton reference, but will go as low as $700. Rick dives into the history. Burr tied Jefferson for president, became VP, then killed Alexander Hamilton in a duel. This check is from 1788. It's a tangible piece of a massive American feud. The seller's price is a clever nod, but is the paper worth it?
Show you. Okay, that is definitely cool. So, Aaron Burr used to be vice president of the United States. You know Alexander Hamilton, the guy in the $10 bill?
Yeah.
This is the guy that killed him.
Okay. You're not a dueler yourself, eh? Are you challenging me? No.
Rick examines the check. It's canceled with a line through the signature, which was normal for the era. He has a certificate of authenticity, but true to form, doesn't trust it. He wants an expert to verify the signature. The seller is confident, saying if the expert is any good, they'll make a deal. This is the classic Pawn Stars authenticity crossroads. A founding father's signature is a big deal.
Do you have any paperwork with it or anything?
Well, you know, it has a certificate of authenticity, which would be on the back.
Okay. It says, Burr Aaron, Vice President, partly printed check signed and filled out in his hand, 3 by 6 inches, New York, May 3rd, 1788.
Expert Stewart arrives. He confirms the duel happened in New Jersey because it was illegal in New York. He notes that if Hamilton had won, he'd be the villain. The expert's job is to compare the signature's tilt and flat-topped R's to known examples. The history lesson here is fantastic. It adds so much drama to a simple piece of paper. Now, the moment of truth. Is it real?
I own Stewart Let's Historic Documents, a firm that buys, sells, authenticates, and appraises historic documents. Rick trusts no certificates of authenticity.
A check from the man that killed Alexander Hamilton.
Well, the interesting thing about the duel is both Hamilton and Burr were from New York.
The expert gives his verdict. The signature is genuine, but then he drops the value bomb. Only about $750 retail. He says Burr has a negative reputation in collecting circles, unlike Washington. The seller is disappointed, hoping for more. This is the harsh reality of autograph markets. Historical impact doesn't always equal high value. Reputation matters, even 200 years later. Rick now has to work with this number.
Rick, it's my opinion that this item was signed by Aaron Burr himself.
Awesome. All right, now the big question is, how much is it worth?
I think something like this has a retail value of about $750. Well, Aaron Burr sort of has a, for lack of a better word, a negative reputation in the collecting field.
Rick makes an offer. The seller won't go below $750. Rick offers $500. They haggle over the framing cost, with the seller wanting a $10 bill included as a Hamilton. They finally settle at $610, with Rick including the tens. The seller is happy, planning to buy another document the same size. It's a quirky, mathematically specific deal that perfectly fits the item's historical vibe. A successful, nerdy negotiation.
I wouldn't go less than the $750 there.
Thinking like $500 is a really fair price.
Well, is that just for the oil painting on the frame, or is that for the check?
Well, that's not an oil painting.
It's a reproduction of an oil painting, but the framing's already been done, and that's an expensive procedure.
The prank subplot continues. Corey sent Chum on fake errands with something painted on his truck to get people honking, but Corey goes to check and finds Chum already cleaned it off. Chum figured out the prank. Corey's reaction is priceless. His plan backfired immediately. The look on his face shows the prank war is not going his way at all. The employee dynamics are half the show's charm.
Don't screw around. I need you back here as soon as you can.
You know I love getting out of the shop.
I know, dude, but hurry up. I painted something on the back of Chump's truck that will definitely get him a lot of attention. Now I'm sending him out on some errands, and people are gonna be waving and honking at him all day. It's gonna be awesome.
New big item, a 1960 Chevrolet Corvair. The seller needs money for school and wants $10,000, with $6,000 as her lowest. Rick geeks out, explaining it was a revolutionary rear-engine, air-cooled car, GM's answer to Volkswagen. He loves the innovation, but notes its infamous safety reputation from Ralph Nader's book. This car is a piece of automotive legend, both celebrated and controversial. This will be interesting.
My 1960 Chevy Corvair.
I like it.
Would you like to hear the horn?
Let's hear the horn. That's not stock, is it?
No.
This is a 1960?
Mm-hmm.
It was the first model year.
Rick looks at the unique pancake engine in the rear. He's genuinely digging it. The seller reiterates her $10,000 asking price. Corey, now involved, calls her out, saying asking implies she'll take less. She says, not exactly. Tension is immediate. They ask to take it for a test drive. You know this is where they'll find all the problems. Old cars are always a gamble.
Yeah, I've had a guy follow me for a couple of miles just to ask what year it was, and
Sounds creepy.
it was a little creepy, but people love the car.
Can I look at the motor?
Yeah.
Have a gander under the trunk.
There she is.
The test drive reveals major issues. Rick says the steering has slop and it smells like an exhaust leak. Corey calls it a death trap. Yet Rick knows collectors love these cars. If the price is right, he could make money, leaky exhaust and all. This is the pawn shop dilemma. See past the flaws to the cult classic underneath. But the seller is still holding firm at $10,000.
If you're gonna make a car for the general public, then you shouldn't have to drive it right. It should drive like a regular car.
You know what? It is. I mean, guys do collect these. They're worth money. Is it my favorite car? No. I mean, like, look at the slop in the steering. You literally have to try it like this to...
The negotiation crashes. The seller admits the transmission slips out of gear if you're not going fast enough. Corey says that's not a selling point. Rick says she's asking too much. Corey forces an offer, $3,000. The seller says she couldn't take that. They're too far apart. No deal. She leaves. Rick wanted to love it, but the mechanical faults killed the romance. Another car walks away.
You don't really need to spend too much on paint, and when she drives, she only slips out of gear if you're not going fast enough.
That's not a huge selling point.
The prank war climax. Corey rigs a chair with an air horn for Chum. The old man forces them to shake hands and promise no more jokes. Chum, knowing Corey's plans, avoids the chair. He declares himself prank-proof. Corey pretends to concede, but mutters he's still the boss and can make Chum clean toilets. It's a stalemate with classic grumpy dad energy. The subplot ends on a funny, unresolved note.
Air horn under the chair, that's a pretty good one. I've known Corey for a long time, so he should know better. I'm prank-proof, especially when I know Corey's got it out for me. Telling me to have a seat? Pfft, please.
Shake hands and promise no more jokes.
The episode opens strong with a customer laying down Avengers #1 and giant-size X-Men #1. These are the holy grails that launched movie empires. He's asking $4,600 for the Avengers book. Rick's already talking movies, saying his son called The Avengers the greatest ever. The nostalgia is real, but so is the pawn shop reality check. I'm already on the edge of my seat. This is a massive potential deal right off the bat.
First one here is Avengers #1. That's what started the movie craze that you know today. And then over here, we've got a giant-size X-Men #1.
Yeah, and what happened with the X-Men is just told me the Avengers was the greatest movie ever made.
There you go.
The comic customer reveals his prices and sources. He wants $1,200 for the X-Men book and $4,600 for Avengers, claiming they're in fine to very fine condition. But Rick shuts down the amateur grading instantly. He insists you need a real grading company, which is 100% true in comics. The fate of this deal now hinges on a third-party expert. Smart move by Rick. The customer seems confident though.
Original owner collection out in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
This one actually came by way of a trade for some original art.
Okay, cool. And so Stan Lee did the story in this one, right?
Yeah, he formed a lot of the groups, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers. Those were all his ideas.
Yeah, it's comic books are a little weird. People see like the #1 sitting right here and they'll think it's the first.
Switch to Corey with the Pinkerton cane. The customer says it belonged to William Pinkerton, and he wants $2,000 for a nice anniversary gift for his wife. Corey knows the history. The father was Lincoln's bodyguard. He loves the gold cane, but has no idea of its value. So he's calling a museum buddy. I love when they bring in specialists. This is where the real education happens.
Oh, this is really cool. What can you say about the Pinkertons? They were one of the most notorious families during the 1800s. They started the Pinkerton Detective Agency. They acted like the first Secret Service in the Civil War, and this is beautiful.
Pure Chumley chaos. He hears comics can be worth millions and bolts home to get his. Rick tries to warn him that 99% are worthless, especially with old price tags. The old man, in a classic bit, tells Rick to let him go, so maybe we'll make some money off of him. They're just sending him on a fool's errand to get him out of the shop. It's hilarious and predictable.
I'm just saying, Chum, I doubt if any of them are worth any money.
Hey, Rick, let him go home. Maybe we'll make some money off of him.
All right, Chum, I'll see your comic books.
I'll be right back.
All right, hurry. Paul's not going to be here for long.
This is just going to end badly. I guarantee it.
The museum expert Mark details the insane reach of the Pinkerton Agency. 50,000 employees, bigger than the Army. They were the original private eyes. The cane is a legit associative item with William Pinkerton. But the value? He says only a niche, knowledgeable collector would want it. The average person won't know William. This expert testimony just tanked the $2,000 dream. The customer's anniversary budget is shrinking fast.
They had 50,000 people that were working for them, so they guarded everything. And they were known for really being dogged in going after people. That's why they were successful in going after the Youngers and the Hole in the Wall gang. But they also went after people internationally, and they went after him.
The comic grader, Paul, gives a masterclass on Avengers #1's history, a last-minute 1963 book that's now a billion-dollar franchise. He's meticulously checking pages for defects and restoration. The customer points out key first appearances in the X-Men book, like Wolverine. This is peak nerd joy, but the suspense is killing me. What grade will these iconic books get? Their value swings wildly on a half-point difference.
Friend Paul, who works for a professional comic book grading company, to get his opinion. Like I said on the phone, Avengers #1.
Wow, man.
And the giant size X-Men. I know this one's cool, but this one's really cool.
Yeah, Giant Size X-Men 1, 1975, has some of my favorite first appearances. Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm.
Corey is on location checking out a massive vintage McRae icebox. The seller wants $4,000 but is moving. Corey explains the huge hassle and cost of moving and selling a 600-pound piece of furniture. He starts at $2,000. They haggle and land at $2,750. It's a solid, practical pawn deal with none of the comic book glamour, just heavy lifting and logistics. A nice change of pace.
Always some kind of scam with Chubb. You just got beat again.
Did not get beat again.
Well, I've had this icebox for about 20-some years now, and I bought it back in Michigan.
Tell me what you know about it.
Well, it's a McRae, and it was made in Kendallville, Indiana.
Okay, yeah, the McRae family was basically in the egg and pre.
The comic grades are in. X-Men gets a 7.5, valued at $550 to $600. Avengers gets a 6.5 due to tanning, valued at $4,000 to $4,200. The customer wanted $4,600, so it's close. But Rick the businessman emerges. He lowballs at $2,900, citing his risk and the need for profit. The negotiation is on. The customer counters at $3,800. They are worlds apart. This is the dramatic clash we waited for.
Earlier, a guy came in with some really cool comic books. So I asked my friend Paul to come down and grade them, and hopefully we'll have some good news.
All right, let me start with the Giant Size X-Men 1. Colors are great. There are a few imperfections, a couple of creases.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a 7.5. The Avengers 1 is beautiful.
Back to the Kane deal. After the expert's niche market verdict, Corey offers just $500, basically scrap gold value. They haggle. The customer stands firm near $2,000, but Corey won't budge past $800. The customer finally accepts the $800, disappointed, but takes it for his wife's gift. The harsh reality of a limited collector base hits hard. History is cool, but cash is king in the shop.
I'll offer you $500 for it. I think that's about what the gold's worth in it. If I had to scrap it a year from now.
I'm at $2,000, you're at $500. About $1,100.
How about $800?
$1,000 if you do the deal right now.
$800. I can't go any higher. That's what I'll pay.
Tell you what, let's do $900 and that's it.
$800.
The comic negotiation explodes. Rick goes to $3,200. The customer's absolute bottom is $3,300. They are $100 apart. Rick refuses, saying he's gambling on the next movie. The customer walks away. Rick thinks he could have sold it for $4,200, but let it go over $100. That's a brutal standoff. The tension was unreal. Sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't make, I guess.
Bucks. Let me have it for $2,900.
I would like $3,800.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you $3,200 because if I hold on to it and the next move does well, I should be able to do well with it. It's more than a fair offer. No, it doesn't. I go $3,200 on it. I mean, that's more than fair. I'm gambling on this next movie being big.
Chumley returns with his Holy Grail, a 1986 Conan the King comic. Rick and Corey instantly recognize it as Corey's old book from childhood. They accuse Chum of having it all these years. It's a silly brotherly argument over a basically worthless comic. Rick offers him $10. Chumley complains about a finder's fee. Rick tells him finding his way back to work is enough. A perfect comedic end to the episode.
Okay, I think he could have sold that book at the $4,000 to $4,200 range, and I really don't think it would have been in the shop long. So yeah, I think you missed one on this deal.
Okay, you've been gone 3 hours to get a comic book?
This is like the holy grail of comic books, right? Conan the King. It's right here. It's got fight scenes, it's got good art.
Closing thoughts. We saw the high-stakes world of vintage comics where professional grading is everything. We saw historical items with limited markets. We saw the massive effort behind selling huge antiques. And we saw classic shop banter. The through line? Knowledge is power. And in pawn, sentimentality often loses to cold, hard market reality. And Chumley will always be Chumley. Another great episode.
Real quick, they concocted the Avengers with their existing characters. Boom, put it out, and now it's $1 billion franchise.
He wants to sell them to me, and I don't know what the grade's going to come out. The front of it looks nice, but...
Yeah, the front cover looks beautiful. What I need to do is take them back. I need to count the pages, check for restoration, and then I just count the defects in my head, and, a magic grade spits out my mouth.
That's the science of it?